This is Miss West. We are doing 4.2 on relations. Okay, so Chapter 4, Lesson 2. Our learning goal is that students will be able to create tables and graphs from relations. This MAFS 8F11, that is our standard that we are covering with this this lesson, sorry. Okay, so make sure you have all of this written down. Make sure you write down everything that is typed or written in these unless I say otherwise. So once you're done writing with us, you can move on. Okay, for this one, I just would like you to label these. Okay, so what you can do on your paper is simply draw like a coordinate grid roughly, and we can label the quadrants here, and we can label the x and the y axis. That's what I'm really looking for here. Okay, I'm going to do it in this, and you can do it on yours that you create on your paper. Okay, so this is our first quadrant. It is quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. The quadrants go in the shape of a C, and it helps me to remember that this is a coordinate plane, and coordinate plane starts with a C. So the quadrants go in the shape of a C, 1, 2, 3, 4. And yes, you have to use Roman numerals. Okay? This is pointing to the origin, which is here in the middle. That is the dot at 0, 0, origin. Okay? This is pointing to an ordered pair. This ordered pair is 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4. And up to positive 3. Okay, this line is pointing to the x-axis. The x-axis is horizontal. And this one is pointing to the y-axis, and the y-axis is vertical. Okay, we should know all of this because we just did a lot of graphing in this last chapter. But just in case you don't, here's a quick reference for you. Oopsies. Okay. So make sure you have all of this written down in your paper before you move on with us. Okay, now all of this is on page 278, so I don't need you to write this. I do need you to write what is circled, okay? So on 278, it shows you this, and you can always refer back to that page. Okay, but what you really need to know about this is that the domain are just the list of x values and that the range is just a list of y values. Okay, so if we're given this table here, this is the domain and this is the range. Okay, so they are all in numerical order though. That is important to remember. Okay, so the domain is the list of x. Range is the list of y, and they are all written in numerical order, meaning from least to greatest. Okay, so here, this is on page 280 in your book, but I would like us to do it on your paper. Your graph, you guys should have graph paper, but if not, you can sketch one of these coordinate planes out on your paper. Okay, what we're going to do first is we are going to put these in order, in numerical order from least to greatest. Okay, so if we look, our smallest number here is negative 4. So I'm going to put negative 4, positive 3, okay, because our x value is negative 4. Our y value is positive 3, and I'm going to take that out. My next smallest number is negative 3. So when x is negative 3, y is negative 2. Okay, and then our next one, when x is 0, y is 3. And when x is 2, y is 1. Okay, so here are my x values and here are my y values. Okay, and here is our graph. So we can go ahead and graph this on our coordinate plane. So we need to go over to negative 4 and up to positive 3. So negative 4 up to positive 3 and put a dot. Over to negative 3, down to negative 2. So over to negative 3, down to negative 2. Over to 0, up to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then over to 2, up to positive 1. Okay, so those are my dots on the grid, on the coordinate plane. All right, so now we need to find our domain and our range. Remember, these have to be in numerical order. So we use these what are called brackets. They're like literally little squiggly lines. Okay, and so our domain is just our x values. Remember, they are in order from least to greatest. So -4 comes first, -3, 0, and 2. And we already put those in order on our x values. Okay, so that is our domain and our range. And you use our squiggly brackets again. Okay, and our range is over here. Now, notice that we put our x's in order from least to greatest, but that doesn't mean that our y's are in order from least to greatest. Okay, so if we look over here, we can see that they are not in order from least to greatest, so we need to put them in order. -2 is the smallest, then comes 1, and then comes 3. Because 3 is written twice, we only need it written down once. So make sure that you just put it down once. All right, so that is the domain and range for this problem. Make sure if you've got the number written down more than once, you only put it down one time. Okay, so for our next problem, we need to first put them on our graph. I would suggest putting your numbers on your x-axis in order from least to greatest. So our least here is our -4. So we're going to put -4 and then 1 in the y spot. My next smallest would be the 2. So I'm going to put a 2 down and a -5 in the y spot. And then 3 and -4 in the y spot. And then 5 and 3 in the y spot. Okay, so you can go ahead and graph this. Go down to, over to -4 and up to +1 and put a dot. And then over to 2, down to -5. Over to +3, down to -4. And over to +5, up to +3. Okay, so now we want to make our domain and our range. Remember, we have to use these brackets when we are doing it. Okay, your domain value, those are your x values, and you have to have them in order from least to greatest. We already did that with our x values, so it's going to be -4, +2, +3, and +5. And our range are our y values, but remember we need them in order from least to greatest. Our smallest is -5, then -4, then 1, and then 3. And close it out with the brackets. My brackets are very beautiful, as you can tell. Okay, so those are our domain, and that is our range for that problem. Okay? Okay, so our next one here, it says at a vacation resort, you can rent a personal watercraft for $20 per hour. Okay, it says make a table of ordered pairs in which the x-coordinate represents the number of hours and the y-coordinate represents the total cost for 1, 2, 3, or 4 hours. So if the x-coordinate represents the number of hours, then we need to put the 1, 2, 3, and 4 here because those are the hours that it wants us to put. Okay, and then our problem is that it is $20 per hour. So y equals $20 per hour. So, this is supposed to be an x. What am I thinking? Okay, $20 per hour. So 20 times x, so 20 times 1 is 20. 20 times x, so 20 times 2 is 40. 20 times 3 is 60, and 20 times 4 is 80. Okay, so then we are going to go and graph this. We're going to go over to 1 and up to 20 and put a dot. Over to 20, up to 40, put a dot. Over to 3, up to 60 and put a dot. And over to 4 and up to 80 and put a dot. Okay, so here is our line. The bottom numbers represent our x-axis, and our x-axis were our hours, and our y-axis represents the cost. Okay, so the dollars. Cost in dollars. That is really hard to write sideways. Make sure you've got all this written down on your paper. Okay, and then this last problem here, it says a candy company produces 30 boxes of candy per hour. Make a table of ordered pairs in which the x-coordinate represents the number of hours, okay, and the y-coordinate represents the number of boxes and candy 4, 5, 10, 15, and 20 hours. So our X values are our hours again. So it wants us to do 5, 10, 15, and 20. And so then we need to find our Y's, okay, if we are making 30 boxes of candy per hour. So at 5 hours, okay, this should be 30x. So 5 times 30 gives us 150. 30 times 10 gives us 300. 15 times 30, and again, if you need to use a calculator at any point, you certainly can. We got 450, and 20 times 30 gives us 600. Okay, so go ahead and graph these on our graph. Go over to 5 up to 150, over to 10 up to 300, over to 15 up to 450, and over to 20 and up to 600. Okay, some of these are not going to be exact, but we know that 450 comes in between 4 and 500, so you can put it directly in the middle here. And 150 comes directly in between 1 and 200. Okay, so the bottom are our X values, and they represent our hours. Okay, and our Y values, they represent the boxes of candy. So, boxes. Okay, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you tomorrow.